Welcome to this card making tutorial where I'll show you not only how to make this stepper card, there we go, side view, but also how to make your own background papers. So you could use the template for this card to make a stepper card with any background papers that you've got that's just cut to size as per the template. But for this video we're going to show you not only how to make the stepper card but how to make the background papers as well. So let's get on with it. So the actual card itself is 16 centimetres by 24 or 24 by 16, and what you're going to do is draw a line 4 centimetres. You could draw it all the way along, so mark 4 centimetres here and draw a line across there, 4 centimetres here and draw a line across there. You want the centre point, so with this being 24 centimetres, you need to draw a line going down here for your 12 centimetre mark, and then you need to draw a line 3 centimetres, and then again another 3 centimetres on, so it's 6 centimetres, and then again another 9 centimetres on, so being 15 centimetres, and again the same the other end, so 3 centimetres, another 3 and another 9. These solid lines are the only two cuts we actually make to the card. These dotted lines are actually score marks. So got there, cut for a solid line, score for a line. So what you actually end up with is something that looks like that, and I'm hoping you can see. So there's a cut there and a cut there, score line 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 there. And then this becomes the front of your card here, and you want to fold those two over there so you get a mountain. There we go. Trying to see if you can see this. There we go. So a mountain fold, a valley fold, and a mountain fold at the top. And that's the basis of the card. How easy is that? So folding it all down, get your score tool and solidify the lines, and that is the base card done. So very easy when you've got a template, which is why we make it easy for you. But there we go, we're going to kind of put that to one side now, but that's it. So just the two cut lines there and then the score lines, fold, and that's it. So you've got like an upside down T, and then you've got two areas there. So let's get on with how we make our own background papers. So I have a piece of card that's 15.5 centimetres across here, 15.5 by 11.5. So 15.5 by 11.5. And the stamp set that I've used for this is the Butterfly Basics stamp set from Stampin' Up. So it comes in 2 boxes. Great stamp set. And we're going to use this flower image here and this butterfly, and then later on we're going to use this honeycomb here as well. So just out the one box today, but lots of great shapes and sentiments there. So making this background paper is using the emboss resist technique. So you may or may not have heard of this. A lot of people do it with clear embossing powder. We're going to do it with white embossing powder. So I've got my stamp, my flower stamp, on my acrylic block, covered in white embossing powder already, but that doesn't matter. I've got my Versamark ink pad. Now Versamark ink pad is a glycerin based ink pad, so it's not dye based, it's not water based, and it's actually see-through as such. If you were to stamp on darker card, you'd get like a watermark effect, which is why it's called a watermark stamp pad. But because it's glycerin based, it means it's sticky, so it means that light powders will stick to it, so it makes the perfect thing for embossing. So I find that if I take my ink pad to my stamp rather than the stamp to the ink pad, not only because it's a bigger stamp, but it actually means you're less likely to get bits around the edge. Whereas if you were to do that and constantly do that, then not only do you not really know where you've covered, you might tend to go around the edges as well. And so what we do first is we get our embossing buddy. So this is just a little textile bag that's full of a light powder. In the days before these were invented, a pair of tights and some nice talcum powder did the jobs too. But we're just going to wipe this. You won't see anything and you won't know what you've done. As such, it doesn't really leave a residue or anything. But what it does is, if everybody's fingertips has sort of an oil to it, so even picking up the cardstock, doesn't matter whether you try and do it around the edges or not, will leave a slight mark. So what we're doing by this is getting rid of any static that could be there and trying to get rid of anything that might be sticky that we might have left there by just handling the paper. So first a mark ink pad to just a light tap, and then I'm going to put the image right about there. Now the only thing with this is you can't really see what you've done. So whereas a normal stamped image you can obviously see the image left behind, you can't see this. And I don't think I'm going to get... No, I don't think you're going to be able to see it at all. I think you can see a slight outline there. But if you hold it up to a light, you can just see it glistening, or you might be able to catch it there maybe. We'll see. So you just need to be carefully going round. And you don't need to worry too much, because you'll see in a minute we're going to do this in stages. So again. And then have a quick look. I think we'll go up here like that. And I might just leave that for the time being, because you'll see when I get a scrap piece of paper and I put that on there, I get my white embossing powder. Now I normally put my embossing powder in a bigger jar, just because those tiddly little pots, they get knocked over and everything, don't they? And just cover the whole. I've got all sorts of bits and bobs in there, don't worry. I'm going to lift that up very carefully. Try not to touch the edges too much, because you don't know where you've stamped, remember? But now I can see where I've stamped. Give it a good knock on the back. And now, hopefully, in that light, I can see where I've stamped. Can you see that? Hoping you can. So I'm going to move that back out the way. Actually, I tend to pour it straight back in my pot. There we go. And then I can see again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more flower. Over here. I might do a bit of a flower over there as well. So again, don't know where it is, so we're going to put it on the paper. We know it was over here somewhere. We know it's over here somewhere. And again, just be careful that you don't smudge any of the images. Give it a tap, and now you can see where we are. If I had missed a bit, you could just sit and go like that and give it a shake. Over there again. So moving it to one side, back in the pot. And then I'm going to use the butterfly, small butterfly stamp, and fill in some gaps. So this time I'm going to go lightly and just remember where I've stamped. Okay, I'm just going to bring it up to the light so I don't overlap the butterflies. And I think I might have a bit of a wing going off there. So again, in with the scrap paper, just going to cover it all again. And lift it up. Just be very careful. There we go, I can now see where it is. So because the Versamark ink pad is so sticky, you can give it a good bash. What's not going to stick is not going to stick, so you may as well get rid of it now. So there we go. Now, if you had any marks that had picked up, just a small brush, see if you can see that there. It's a tiny bit there, so I'm just going to brush that away. I think that's the only one. Yep, looks good to me. So what I'm going to do now is I have my heat tool, and I'm going to, there you go, my 25-year-old heat tool, one of the first crafting things I ever bought, and I'm going to just heat it, and you just heat it until the powder melts. Don't overheat it. Once the powder's melted, you don't want to keep heating it. Normally having embossed work means that you want the image raised. It doesn't matter so much for this instance, but for sentiments and things like that on other cards, it's always good. And if you overheat it, it will kind of raise and then it will just flatten again. And you can burn it if you keep going. So just turn your heater on. You don't have to heat it immediately, just wait for the heater to heat up and then just slowly go over. I'm not going to sit here and heat it up for you. You know how to do that, or if you don't, just keep going. You could do it over a toaster as well. In the days before heat tools, we did it over toasters, but no need for that now. So you then, in pure Blue Peter style, have one I made earlier. So again, I can't see too well whether you can see that or not, but hopefully you get an idea. You will do in a second anyway, for sure. So of my embossing powder. So the next thing we're going to do is we can get rid of our embossing buddy, we can get rid of our Versamark ink pad. That is us, job done. And now what we want to do is get a big paintbrush. You can use an aqua brush. I just like to choose a big old paintbrush that I've got. A little pot of water that you can see there. And I'm going to use my Soft Sky ink pad. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can squeeze the lid of the ink pad, and then when you open it, you'll find a pool of ink that you can use. Or, I'm going to try both of these, I think. You can get your Soft Sky re-inker, and you can just put a few drops in the lid. So we'll probably do both. But what I tend to do first of all is use my paintbrush. Now this is just thick Whisper White cardstock. It's not watercolour paper or anything like that, so it will take a bit of water, but basically don't flood it too much. We want to flood it a bit. I just go all the way over the image with water first. Don't be perfect or anything like that, and then get a bit more water on the brush and mix it with your ink, and then you'll start seeing, so you can see how watery it's already gone. So in this instance, I'm going to put a few drops of re-inker in the lid like that. Keep watering, and there we go, that's better. And just a colour wash over the image. Now it's up to you. The more times you go over this, the wetter it's going to get, and you could find that it starts peeling up. It'll take a few covers, and there we go. And then you can either heat it with your heat tool to dry it, or just put it to one side and leave it to dry. So we'll do that for the moment. And that's it, we're done with the Soft Sky ink pad. We're done with the water, so we'll move that out the way so we don't have an accident there. So the next thing we're going to do, here's one I made earlier. So this one's all dry now, so you can see the brush strokes, you can see the pale blue colour wash coming through there as well. So it's up to you, you can decide which way you want. I've done the flowers upside down and round the wrong way, so there's no right or wrong way of doing it. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Blender pen It's got two ends and they're both exactly the same. Just take the lid off there. Ooh, there we go. So both exactly the same. If I was to colour with it now, oh, you've got a bit of a purple there from before, but look, there's nothing there. It's almost like it's a pen that doesn't work. There we go. So, but the magic is it turns any water-based ink pad into, let's give it a squeeze, into a marker pen. So, give it a squeeze. I'm using Wisteria Wonder on Wild Wasabi ink pads. Oh, dropping them there. And I'm going to get my blender pen. I'm going to, let's do some flowers first. Just literally grab hold of some of the colour. Again, you could put re-inker in the lid, but this is enough. Squeaky, squeaky for that. And I'm going to start colouring in the flowers. Now I use a circular motion, but you can colour it in whichever way you want to. And it doesn't really matter, we're not looking for shading or even perfect colouring. It may be that you like to go slightly outside the edge. Now you could do this while the paper was still wet, and you would get an even more of a watercolour effect where the inks that we put on now would blend with the water. But this one's actually dry, so it will come out slightly darker and slightly more intense. But you get the idea. So let's just do this big flower. Very satisfying, that squeaky window. And then when I've finished with the purple, or the Wisteria Wonder, I'm just going to do that, make sure there's no purple left on it. And I'm going to go over to the green, which is Wild Wasabi. And then I'm going to just do some colouring there. Don't be too worried if you go just outside the line. A good sort of watercoloured image is never perfect. And so I could sit here all day doing this, but I'm not sure that that's too exciting for you. So I've got another true Blue Peter style for you in a second. But let's just finish this one flower so you get an idea. And it does go a little bit softer. It's not quite as intense as when it first goes on, because obviously as it dries a little bit lighter. And there we go. So that gives you an idea of that. And so, again, Blue Peter style. Here's one I made earlier. So this is all coloured in now. So you'll see that the butterflies, I didn't add any colour to those, but you could do. It's entirely up to you what kind of look you want to go for. But in the shabby chicness of this card, the next thing we're going to do is to add some of this honeycomb stamp too, but I'm not going to use a block. So normally you'd stick this to an acrylic block and you'd have a nice perfect image. I don't want a perfect image. That's the whole point of this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bend it a little bit. I'm going to put a bit of ink, bit of rolling in there, and then I could go straight on, but what I'm actually going to do is stamp off, as they say, and I might do that once or twice, because actually I want a very pale image of the honeycomb. One more, and then I'm just going to add it into some of the spaces, and you can stamp over the images. You don't have to just find the gaps. It's entirely up to you, and you could do Wisteria Wonder and Wild Wasabi. You could do Wild Wasabi. It really is up to you and what kind of look you want to go for. And again, you could do more, you could do less, just depends what you want. Very collagey. There we go. And that's it. So that gets you basically our finished background paper. So that's it. So you can do that with any images. Obviously, if you've got solid images, you wouldn't have the capacity to colour them in. So if you look for any sort of outline stamps that you've got that are just perfect for colouring in, then that's what you want to be going for. And you can obviously mix and match those with some solid images as well. So going on from there, I'm going to tip this over. And this is the other template that you can see as well. So once this is all finished and you're happy, then you're going to be cutting them out to this size so that they fit on the front of the teed image, or this stepper card as you like. So 4 centimetres in and 4 centimetres in, 9 centimetres down, so 4 by 9, you're going to cut out a bit from each side. Now what you need to do beforehand is you need to decide which way up you want your card. Now if you've done it randomly, it doesn't really matter, but if you've done that flower, for example, and you want it going up the right way, then you need to do it the other way and do it that way. But I wanted the image coming down, this image over here, so just 4 centimetres by 9, cut those two out, and 2.5 centimetres here that leaves, and you are done. And you end up basically with, well, let's say if you're looking at it that way, it's my notes to myself, it's like that. But when you turn it over, make sure that you have the right pieces up the right way so that they match. So you can see that flower there has been cut. So if I was to put that there, it wouldn't be disastrous, but to be professional, let's keep it like it is. Now you might have seen here, once you've got your 4 by 9 image, you're actually going to trim it to 3.5 by 8.5. So you're just going to trim 8.5 of a centimetre down. So it's just a tiny little edge, which is why you'll see that if I put that right in there, that's the difference you're talking about. That 0.5 centimetre there and that 0.5 centimetre there. And that's it. So we're going to grab our card blank back here, and then you can see how they're going to go. Oh, that's the other one. There it is. So there we go. So let's get sticking those down. So because this is now quite stiff, it's a little bit curly, what we're going to do is use the fast fuse glue. So just what's good for top boxes and things like that, things you don't want to move basically. And so what we're going to do is just grab that and go tick, 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 down towards you, tick. There we go. And so I'm going to stick that centrally with an even gap all the way around the side. The only thing with fast fuses, once you're stuck, you're stuck. So don't put it down until you are happy exactly with where it's going. So we will put some fast fuse down there, tick. Ooh. Sometimes it just sticks, just wheel it on a little bit. There we go, tick. Oh. There we go. Might just do a little bit around there as well. So again, centrally, so you've got an even gap all the way around. So there we go. And this way, that was it. And there we go. So you're sticking them like that. So these two squares, sort of rectangles there, are left empty. You could add them in if you wanted to, but you're not going to see them from the front of the card. So as the card folds up, there we go. Look at that. Lovely. And again, just press it all down, make sure it's stuck clearly. I've just realised the honeycomb's not on that one. You saw me do it in the last one. I could even do it a little bit now, couldn't I? Should we do it quickly? Let's just so you know, you can still do it. If you make a mistake, you can just carry on. It doesn't matter at all. I'm just making sure it goes not on the white. There we go, much better. There we go. So what we're going to do now is, as you see from the original card, now what happens with these cards a lot is you go like that and it kind of doesn't stand up properly, it kind of falls down. So genius of one of my customers, Janet, she just makes, this is 11 centimetres and it's just scored 1 centimetre in on each side. And so I'm going to add a bit of fast fuse. This is the fun bit with the fast fuse on here. Ta-da! Genius. Right, and then you fold the card in half. Now you can either keep it straight as it is, but you just need to add it to sort of the middle. This really doesn't need to be precise. So, and I would stick it like that. The glue's on that side, and there we go. And then you have a device that basically stops it from falling down. How great is that? So you've just got tabs. A tab can go down, it can go up, it's entirely up to you, but you get the idea. And if you hadn't scored it in the middle, you could just stick it on and then kind of bend it inwards, and then just wherever it naturally bends, you could stick it there. Okay, so the card itself has a few embellishments now. So these lovely butterfly dies, love them, love them, love them. So Wild Wasabi paper and Wisteria Wonder paper. So what I've done, these dies are in 2 sets. So I stick all mine to magnetic sheets, but you've got one set that has those in, so a great big detailed butterfly, a medium detailed butterfly, and a solid small one, which does coordinate with one of the butterflies in the stamp set. And then you've got just a little set which has the larger, so this one, just bring those in, that one coordinates with that one, and this one coordinates with this one. So what we have used is this one off of that set and that one off of the other set, of course, because of course you have to have both sets once you've got one. So, so what I did was I cut one large Wisteria Wonder, one large Wild Wasabi, one small Wisteria Wonder, one small Wild Wasabi, and put those through my Big Shot machine to cut them out. The precision plate's been great for these intricate dies, so I tend to run them through 2 or 3 times, but with the precision plate everything just pops out. Gone are the days of tumble dry sheets, gone are the days of greaseproof paper and everything like that. It's now precision plate, job done. Everything comes out perfectly. So I am a lover of glue dots. I'm such a lover that I can't find them. Oh, we'll get another pack out. Ah, found them now. So what I didn't realise, because you sit there and think glue dots, there, you know, glue dots are glue dots. But what I actually saw somebody doing in a class that I was teaching, and I realised that I hadn't shared this, so I'm going to share it now. So these glue dots, can you see there? It's got a small bit of glue. And you could really try and pick those off and stick them onto your project, but it's an awful lot easier if you take your, whatever you're doing, whether it's a button or a butterfly in this case, you don't lose it for a start, and give it a little twist to get the glue off, and there you go. Can you see that? And then we're going to put him, because of course it's a him, wherever we want to on there. So I tend to match up these bits here, and there we go, and give him a twist off and match up those front bits. There we go. So you'll also see some pearls going down the centre. So these pearls are all in a strip, and all I've done is just cut 4 off in one go, and then I tend to take them off with, normally with my trusty tweezers, but for the sake of ease now, they're self-adhesive, so I've already got glue on the back, so I just stick it from there up to there, and again the next one's from that tail up, and you could go all the way down the centre if you wanted to, but no need to as far as I'm concerned. So again, we're going to put the glue dot right in the middle of the butterfly, and there we go. And the same again, so butterfly to the glue dots, there we go. And then you can sit and decide where you want them to go. We'll have that one there and that one there. You can just kind of ease them, the wings, towards you, and that'll just curl them up, give them a bit of dimension. Obviously if you're going to post it, it's going to go a little bit flat. But there we go, so that's those done. And then for my sentiment, which is here, we have most sentiments go horizontally. There's not many that go vertically, and I think you could put your butterflies elsewhere. You could put some little butterflies over here, and you could leave this bit empty for the sentiment. I always think odd numbers, so threes of things, so sentiment and 2 butterflies is 3. It's a triangle design element there to draw your eyes 3 ways. So I have used a great stamp set called Vertical Greetings, and whilst it's got some beautiful topiary trees there, the sentiment's just because I love you, for you, thank you, congrats and happy birthday. That's most of our things covered, and it just means you have one stamp set that if you need the sentiment to go vertically, you are all done. So I used the For You, so that's the stamp set there, and I just used the Wild Wasabi ink on the, Wild Wasabi on Wisteria Wonder, too many W's, on here. Then what I've done is I've got my classic label punch, so there we go, can't go wrong with that. And I always use my punches upside down. If you were trying to punch that out, you wouldn't know where it was. Use it upside down and you can manipulate it exactly how you want it, so to make sure it's all in the centre. I think I'm quite happy with that. And you can slightly, so I'm not punching all the way through, but I'm just grabbing hold of it so it doesn't move. You could sit there, and if you wanted to move it slightly, there we go. Give it a punch, mind your fingers so you don't grab your skin. There we go, job done. And obviously you could use that as a template, the negative as well. So I then just added some dimensional tape. So this is just a strip of double-sided tape with some dimension, and stuck that. Now I did this while it was closed, because if you did it while it was open, you might put it down here a bit further, whereas actually you're only going to see that bit. So let's stick that there. We might need to move our butterfly wing out the way a bit more. And there we go. Job done. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to subscribe to this video channel, then you'll get notified of any other future videos that I do. You can find me on Facebook, and all the details are below, and you'll be hearing from me occasionally with all the news and offers, and then more tutorials, online classes and all sorts to come from me. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.